So everybody knows me. This is easy. This is me, Agnė, and this is Magnetic Conversations. And here I have a beautiful girl from across the globe, from New York. Just let me check if I pronounce it correctly. Liza Colpa.
Yes, that is correct. And also, I wanted to also get your name correctly. It's Agnė?
Yes,
Agnė?
Agnė.
Okay. Agnė. Perfect. Good.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we're here. Well, I have to tell you a short story. So basically, I started my journey of meditations with guided meditations, I don't know, a few years ago. And, I've tried different teachers, different guidances, and the voice and the content and the depth I love the most is done by Liza Colpa. And here she is. I was like, no, she agreed to come here. No, can't believe it. I was like, thank you. Imagine that.
Of course. Oh my gosh. I love how it's actually really interesting. Like when I hear other people's perspectives, and it really makes me think about like dreams and manifestations, because I think to myself, like, we are like, oh my God, like that person may be so far out of reach. But trust me, like I am always that type to be like, yes, let's do it. Let's go. Like if I have the time in my schedule, yes, like let's do it. So like if I'm not getting married, but it was perfect. It worked out perfectly. And I feel like we kind of I do the same thing where I'm like, would they agree? Really? Would it? But yeah, definitely. Your energy just it's come on. Yeah.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much. So basically, you already relieved the topic, which I wanted to go through with you. So this is manifestations, dreaming, and also affirmations. These are the topics where I have my curiosity in, where I do my meditations at, and I think you're a great example and a great teacher in that. That's why we're here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been, well, my goal is to now more getting clear on it, to not think of these practices as like woo practices or, this just a certain niche practice, but a practice you can bring into your practical everyday life, whether you're a construction worker, someone who works in medical field, a mom, a dad, a teacher, a political leader, or just, a healer yourself. It's really important to just bring this to the practicality and not make it feel like so out of reach. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you so much for saying that, because my first question is almost about the same what you just spoke, that meditation in our everyday world seems something very mysterious, but religious even could be like, or like something for what other people do, those spiritual people do. But like me being, a busy businesswoman, being a mom of two, and yeah, I'm not some exception from the rule, but I understood that you can use meditation for me is a way of relaxing my mind. Like, relaxing this network, which is always busy. And even my medical doctor told me, like, you should try meditation to relax. I was like, okay. It's like, wow. So thank you for saying that meditation is not something big and mysterious and crazy and not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. I think that's one of the things that at least I'm trying to do. And especially in this day and age of like, social media or even just creating content. As content creators, we want to create some sort of a brand image. We want to be able to be like, this is something people can recognize and constantly think of or go back to. But sometimes that image makes others feel like they're not welcome, they're not wanted, or it's inaccessible. So if you're the type of yoga teacher who's always, teaching things that are inaccessible to the average person a lot of the times, then yes, then we feel a little bit out of like this space isn't for me. If you're, and I go back to the construction worker or, a police officer, someone like a blue collar worker too, because that's someone that I also try to invite into my space. A man, maybe, a man that wasn't raised with a spiritual household. It's very much like this is this and that is that. And, it's to make it accessible and make it seem like, no, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Anyone can be a part of this journey, and to try to level the playing field for everyone and try to make it as inclusive of a space as possible. So, yes, I agree with you. It was a long-winded answer, but yeah, I think it's very much important to start taking away the mystery, as you said so beautifully, taking away the mystery or the this is so outside of me, and start bringing into our regular daily just health practices. It will help the world in so many ways.
Yeah, that is so true. Would you give, perhaps if you have an advice, I believe you do, what would be the first baby steps? Like, okay, I've never meditated, but I've heard this word, I'm curious, and I don't want, and I'm not spiritual person. So where do I start? Like, do I need a special, I don't know, cushion for that? Do I need a special position for that? Like, if I cannot do the lotus, can I meditate? I'm kidding, but I believe there are people who think like that.
Yes, very much so. Very
Yeah.
much so. And again, I keep thinking about like all the individuals where this is foreign to them. And yoga was and meditation was foreign to me as well. And in a lot of our societies, yoga and meditation wellness is for a specific niche. So those who aren't part of that, or whose families or whose worlds aren't part of that, they're going to be like, well, how do I even start this? And the first step I have is when, the time.
Okay. Okay.
That's the first step, deciding when. That's the hardest step too, because we always say, or we may always say, oh yeah, I have to meditate. Tonight I'm going to do it. Tonight I'm going to do it. But it's like, okay, when? Get very specific, because it's life can bulldoze over great ideas. Life
Wow.
can bulldoze. Yeah. Life has a tendency to do that. So setting up those boundaries and saying, okay, this is when, right after or right before I have dinner, or right when I'm about to go to sleep, or right when I wake up, or in the middle of my lunch break, or even in the middle of these chaotic moments. That's a big thing. In the middle of storms, sometimes those storms are our reminder of this is when, this is the now. Yeah. So that's the first step, is just figuring out when. And the second step is choosing to do or to explore what you need for the day. It could be lying down, it could be standing, it could be sitting up. Some meditations I want to invite that you can be, driving. It's not going to be the same meditation as, let's say, if you're lying down and closing your eyes,
Yeah.
or if you're washing your dishes, but you can focus and take a mindful moment while you are doing something and just be absorbed in that moment. And that too can give your brain a little bit of a different wavelength to surf on, for lack of a better word or better phrase. But yeah,
I
it's
know what you're
it's
saying.
yeah, it's that kind of energy. So those are, I feel, the two most important steps.
Mm-hmm. Is the length important? Because sometimes I've catch myself in, I don't have 30 minutes now. It's like it's a good excuse because, to be honest, like meditation, you well, I will tell you my example. Like when I started, I was like, okay, 7 minutes. Let's do 7 minutes. Like that didn't seem too scary, like not too long. But then after a while, when you start feeling like, oh wow, it's so nice afterwards. So that's my motivation. I don't know what could be motivation for other people, but usually it's like, I don't have 30 minutes. I don't know how to sit, and I don't know what to do when I'm sitting there. Yeah. Could you help us out there as well?
Yes, yes. It's so okay. For example, I just after getting married, I got a cold from my beautiful sister and my beautiful nephew. They
Oh,
they were so gorgeous to share their
oh.
cold with me, and because my body was craving more rest when I was getting up, the idea of meditating first thing in the morning, I was literally, I just want to get up and think nothing for 5 minutes. I just want to get up and think nothing. And then at the end of thinking nothing, I'm going to ask myself, what can I do today? What do I want to do? But also, what can I do? And it's 5 minutes. Sometimes you could do that within 2 minutes. Every meditation teacher will tell you, as well as, people who study it, the longer, the more of a difference you will feel. But I always say, don't aim for the difference, aim for the practice. Don't aim for the results. aim for the practice. Aim to just invite it into your life, invite the energy into your life. Just aim for that, because we are such a result driven society that we get burnt out so quickly when we're just, meant to approach something that it's not. My favorite phrase this week is, no one's winning any awards for this. Like,
Yeah.
no one's going to win an award for the best meditator in the world,
Yeah,
the best yogi. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't work that way. And if someone tries to make it that way, they're trying to sell you something. So,
yeah. Good advice.
yes, it's like it's either a
Yeah.
cult or they're trying to sell you something. So, I think it's really important to just invite that energy into your world, whatever time. 2 minutes to 5 minutes, I think is great, because that's enough for you to be like, okay, I definitely spent time doing this. I definitely took time doing this. I think also another great example, sometimes when I'm boiling my eggs, I will let my eggs, I will, put my eggs in and turn on the water, and I'll just listen out for the sound of the boiling water, and I will meditate during that time.
Amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
stare out the window, think nothing.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's the same if I'm not in a rush with the shower. Like I open the shower, the tap water, it's like running, dripping. And if you allow yourself, like just feeling the water, this is a kind of a meditation as well. Okay, then you have to rinse your hair, blah, blah, blah. But then at least for a minute or two, like just feeling the water. Yeah, for me it works.
I
Yeah.
it you are right, because I did that this morning.
Oh,
And yes, and there's something called brown noise. So if you're in the shower and you
yeah.
cup your hands over your ears
Uh-huh.
and you just hear the water running down, it creates a brown noise effect that really at least calms me. So that's a technique that I do too.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. I just, guessed. But is it the same as the white noise, the ones we use for the kids, like vacuum cleaner or like the, I don't know, like the off TV, like shh sound, like to make them sleep? Is it the same or no?
It is. There's brown noise, green noise, pink
Oh, the
noise.
different types of
They're
noise. I've never heard
different
of it.
hertz levels. Yes. And
Okay.
brown noise, yes, exactly. And like brown noise is like this rumbling oceanic sound.
Yeah, because feels like when you pick up in the beach a big shell, when you put it on your ears, the same sound as this one. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for like bringing it down to a real level. We're not jumping into like, okay, what is the meaning of life? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, most
Well,
people,
I'd say
yeah,
that.
yeah, yes, we'll get there. We'll get there. But
Yeah.
but first we start with, how do we explore, in within
Exactly.
ourselves? Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like, I've been in this journey not for a very long time, like 4-ish years. And I remember the beginning, and I'm not there yet. I'm not even going anywhere. I'm just going. But I mean that this is so overwhelming because especially when you compare yourself to other people, like, oh, she's meditating like every morning for 30 minutes, or like she's doing this and that. And they're like, oh my God, I'm not doing anything, or I'm doing it wrong because it's not working for me. So that's why I want to calm down all the other women who are listening to the podcast with you as a teacher. Thank you very much. And like saying, that's all right. Take your 2 minutes in the shower, take your 5 minutes while you're waiting before your kid comes back home in the car. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And especially remember, because sometimes what we'll do is we'll do the 2 minutes in the shower and we'll be like, okay, I meditated, I did it. And then they'll, yeah, we'll rush out. Like it's something on our to-do list, or, when I don't know, when you were growing up, they would put marbles in the jars if you were like, if the class was very good that day. So
Yeah.
yes. And it's such actually, I feel, I know they meant well, but I think it's also negative training
I know what you
because
mean. Yeah.
yeah, because we're kind of putting our marble in the jar and we're like, yes, okay, I did it. And it's this kind of validating
Mhm.
moment, but we're not taking the time to actually say thank you to
Yeah.
ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks me. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes, thank you to me. I am proud of me. Thank you. And then in those moments of chaos, remembering those 2 moments, or in those moments where you feel like I didn't do enough today, be like, no, I took the time to do this for
Exactly.
me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And one more thing which comes to my mind now, like sometimes, not always, but I hear girls saying, and I feel myself as well, like the guilt is often to come over there to the shower with you for 2 minutes. Because, otherwise you could have responded to those 3 emails in those 2 minutes, or like you could have, I don't know, done something for your family. But I think that it is so important that you allow yourself and you do it and you leave the blame behind the shower curtain, This is very important, I believe.
Exactly, especially for
Mhm.
those who are like new moms. My sister, my nephew just turned one.
Oh,
This past, I love the age, and it's fantastic. But I remember like babysitting for him when he was teething, and he just was not. He just was. For those who have experienced babies while teething,
yeah.
it's they're not exactly the happiest of babies. They're like, they're not happy. They're
Not so much.
I think they're a little too much, exactly. Like, they're kind of demon babies at times, I don't want to say that, but it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
truth.
yeah.
And in those moments where you're like, I'm doing everything I can, now it's time to put the baby down. And I was talking to my sister about it. She said, and he just cried, and there's nothing I can do. In those moments where you feel so hopeless and you feel powerless, and you're like, how am I going to meditate for myself when there's this being that is attached to me that's literally breaking down, and there's nothing, I've done everything I could possibly do, and I can just be in the moment. In those are the hardest moments to just be. That's why I feel being a mother, being a parent, is one of the hardest jobs, life paths in the world, because to just allow yourself to be with the baby, put on any sort of meditation music, let the baby cry, let the baby scream, let the baby be like, life is painful and I don't like this. And you're like, I am here with you. I don't like this either, but we are here together, and just rock with the baby, and eventually, as long as it takes, you will find that moment of peace.
Yeah.
And that's kind of meditation for us. It's a bigger, more extreme example, but that's meditation.
Yeah.
There's life screaming at us. There's our internal, inside screaming at us like, what is this? Life is hard. Life, it can be painful. Growing can be painful. And just to sit with that energy is the hardest yet most effective, I feel, meditation technique.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Because what I hear that, usually we imagine that meditation is like, as we spoke at the beginning, like as a joke, like you sit there in the lotus with your incense smelling and stuff. But then, meditation, at least for me, how I see it, I want you to share your opinion as well, your point of view as well. But it could be just, even 24 hours in a day could be a meditation state, because you're like, observing and like being aware and being here and now. So being here and now is the meditation. So this is how I see it. Maybe it doesn't make any sense. I don't know, but like
Yes. Yes. That's exactly it. I don't mean to cut you off at all, but like I was like, yes.
yeah, I don't say that I do it, but this is how I see it lately. I was like, if I'm like here, like with my open heart, like, I don't know, writing an email to you and inviting you to be the guest on my podcast. So this is meditation as well, because I'm there, like, selecting the words and like putting my thoughts into the cosmos to fulfill. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And those are more like, so they talk about the difference between like, mindful meditations. And I think life can be a mindful meditation. You can do it while, watching your kids play. You can do
Yeah.
it while you're relaxing at night with your lover. You can do it when you're with friends, just, and especially women. It's like we could talk for hours and just
Yeah.
vent, and
Yeah.
and that in and of itself is kind of a very um very action oriented, expressive, mindful
Mhm.
meditation. But a mindful meditation, unless, because you're listening to what people are saying and you are, sharing, and this in and of itself, this
Yeah.
conversation
Beautiful.
is a form of mindful meditation, or those who are listening, it's a form.
Yeah, because I love the way you said, like, when we girls, we like to talk a lot, because this is the way we vent, and that's the form of, like, letting it go. Like, at least for me, like, because when I'm with my thoughts, or especially with my feelings inside, it's like, and then when I'm with the girls, like, nobody's listening, everybody's talking, but then everybody's fine, solved. Yeah, so this is at some level, well, maybe it sounds like a joke, but at some level, this is also a helpful tool to let go of the things. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, not at all. Not at all. And also for, and I'm sure like, because I always want to invite it to men, like any men who are listening,
yeah,
they sit with each other
yeah.
and they don't share. They
Just like,
don't share.
how are
They
you? Cool. You? Cool. Yeah,
Yes,
kind of
and they
conversation.
just exactly, and they just sometimes want to just be in
Yeah.
silence with each other, and that's beautiful. Like that's beautiful. Just be in silence. But there are times where you have to go in the opposite direction. I feel like women, that energy yin yang can learn from each other. If you're in a friendship group that's constantly like, like you said, it's like take the moment of silence, like go somewhere with your best friends and
Yeah.
be somewhere in nature and just be with each other, like just look at the view together, just
Yeah.
enjoy the space. And if you're with those who are more like that male yin, yang energy, where it's like this is it, this is good, I'm cool, it's like feel take a moment to ask, how are you doing really? Like,
Mm.
how are you doing? Because
Mm.
I think men especially are not asked that genuinely enough. Like, no, really, how are you doing?
Thank you. And especially that the question is usually like what you've done today or how was your day? Good. So sort of an end of conversation. But how are you doing invites you to open up and give you more of an information,
Correct.
feeling, answer, anything. Thank you. Yeah, that's very beautiful. You know what I thought that there are types of friends when you well, sort of only best friends, I put it that way. So only best friends have the liberty and the inner feeling that I can be silent with you because they're people where you like feel obliged to fill in the gaps of silence because it's super uncomfortable. But then the more you know the person and the more you love him or her, so they're like, you're all right to be in this quiet mode, Isn't it true?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially with, I think as women get older,
Yeah.
it's really hard for us to create friends. It's
Yeah.
really, it's,
Especially
it's
new
really
friends, right? Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
New friends, especially. And I think it's important as women to be as real as possible, to be authentic as possible, because then we root out the people that, they just not for us. And that's okay as a friend. But I think it's also, important to be open to being to how do I put this? Be open to new
Yeah.
energy as your authentic self and see if you can be in silence with them. Because if you can, you may have just found a new best friend. But
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah, that is so true, Liza. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, because when you're like, I don't know, I have two boys. One is 8, another is 11. Every day they get new friends, like no problem, Like me, not so much. I'm 40, a bit older. Yeah.
You look gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you,
Just got to
you
throw that out
too.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you. But no, that's exactly it. It's like I
Yeah.
have my four core friends. I've always
Hmm.
had my four core friends.
Yeah.
And that's it. And my four core friends, thank God, they get along with each other.
Yeah.
And
That's a good
some of them,
thing though. Yeah.
it's such a good thing. Some of
Yeah.
them grew up with each other, so they're like they know each other. And it's my four core best friends. It's a group of us five, and it's hard for me to get on that level as my friends. It's also hard for me to open up to other women. I think also other women have a hard time trusting
Oh,
women.
yes. And feeling safe
Yes.
among other women. Yeah, that's so true.
Yes. 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 So I think it's that makes it even harder as women to make friends. But from what I hear, it's the same for anyone who identifies as men too. It's like,
Yeah.
how do I really open up and get vulnerable to that level of best friend? And the reality is, if you come in vulnerable, if you come in really listening to someone, if you come in really being open, you may recognize in that moment, like, okay, I hear you and I see you, and we had a great conversation, but maybe your energy isn't for me. I learned that a lot, during my wedding process with family members who are like, let's, be close friends now that you're in the family. And when you listen to the people and you speak to the people and you slowly begin to recognize like, oh, I hear you and I feel you. You could be a friend, but maybe we will never be able to bring that energy out in each other. You could just kind of still be open to the person, to listen to the person, but not everyone also has to be a best friend either. That's a very rare thing. So I think it's okay to have a friend moment or friendship moments where you can listen to the other person. You may not even agree with the other person. That was another thing. It's like, I don't agree with what you're saying whatsoever, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to be there because I think that's what we crave as human beings at the end of the day. So that mindfulness technique of listening, we don't have to be, I tend to be that person though, that when I do my best to do that exercise, people get attached very quickly. And I'm like, wait. I was just trying to like have a connective moment with you. So so I do my best. Like if they, message me and they're like, hey, let's like hang out this Friday or have this one-on-one, I recognize in that moment, this energy takes more from me than it gives from me. So I say, oh, thank you so much. Unfortunately, I have different priorities for this day. And that sounds really bitchy. I don't know if there's per se.
That's fine, but that's an amazing way to say no, because what I do, I create fake excuses. Why not? Thank you for saying that. So, I have different priorities. Doesn't sound that bad though. Yeah, I have different priorities for tonight. Thank you. Because I'm always inventing stories, Oh, because of the
Yeah, it's like, oh no, sorry, I have all these priorities or different priorities for tonight, and I'm so sorry. But thank you for reaching out. Yeah, and I think I thank you for saying it's beautiful, but I always feel like I'm harsh. My sister's like, you're ruthlessly honest sometimes, and it's because I don't want anyone to think anything different. I don't want anyone to think, oh my God, this is, for example, there's, hopefully I'm not going on a tangent, but I think people can recognize or resonate with this. There was someone in my husband's family group who was a significant other of a cousin, and she just has, it's one of those energies that you could tell she has a hard time trusting women, and through that she acts on these narratives. Therefore, if she sees women as her enemy, it's very hard for anyone to be friendly with her. But I always try to be friendly with her. I always try to open up to her. And but I do react when I see her, because she always says something that's a little off base, a little like that wasn't very necessary at the present moment. But I also understand you're having a hard time trusting women, so it's almost on this defensive or offensive conversation lines, without giving away too many details in case family members listen and can figure out who this is. So because my family is very involved, and I recognized my friends kind of was trying to see my energy, my best friends, my core friends. And they felt what I felt, I could tell, but because I was being welcoming to her, and I was saying, no, it's okay, this is a safe space. They were welcoming to her as well. And at my wedding day, she was dancing with my friends, and she comes to me and she's like, I love your friends. And I was like, thank you. I love them too. It doesn't mean I'm going to go have coffee with her next week. It doesn't. Yes. But to show women that there are people out there that will be in your corner if you just let your guard down. If you just take a moment of vulnerability, and if they stab you in that moment of vulnerability, okay, then they're not for you, and you don't have to have coffee with them next week. But to show individuals that there are connections you can make, genuine connections, mindful connections, bring it back to meditation.
No, but that's fine. That's so beautiful. It's just, I want for a moment to return back to your idea that it's all right to agree that you disagree. Remember when you were referring to your friends? I was talking the same about with my husband, because we used to have different fights for such a small shitty things. I was like in my mind, like, really, But then I thought, okay, let's do a new trend. We agree that we do not agree on that, and let's leave it there. That's it. Look at that. But it was like, rip off the Band-Aid, We just talked it through. That's it. We agree that on this, and that, we do not agree. That's fine.
Exactly. That's and that's okay. to resonate with you because I so identify with that.
Thank
My
you.
husband and I keep fighting over the most ridiculous thing. It's if the human, yes, if the human species can survive, because the Earth technically and the sun is can live for another 4.5 billion years.
Mhm.
So we always get into this, he said, oh, humans are going to destroy themselves. We'll be lucky if we're around for the next hundreds of years. And I'm like, how are you so negative? Like, I believe we are so resilient. And he's like, yeah, we're resilient. Like, a very bad cancer. Like, he's very like bleak. And I'm like, how did you say that? But in those moments, I feel like it's hilarious. Like, it is kind of
Yeah.
hilarious. And we're laughing at it. But I also think in those moments, when we get heated, it's because fundamentally I'm like, you're being so negative. And he's like, and you're being too idealistic. And it's like, how dare you? How dare you? You have those
Yeah.
moments as partners, but you
Yeah.
also realize like, you know what? I am a little too idealistic. And maybe you are a little bit too, realistic or too morbid and you look at the facts too much, but it's okay. And we could agree to disagree. And the reality is we don't know. Both of us don't know. And
Exactly.
it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So
Yeah.
just for anyone who feels that. But I just,
Exactly.
when you said that, it made me think of that moment where it's like, oh my gosh, the
Yeah.
same stupid conversation, agree to disagree.
Exactly. And it, how do you say, allows yourself to relax into that because otherwise you feel tension, because you're always fighting and trying to prove something. And of course, you're trying to prove that you're right. I'm never trying to prove myself wrong, for example. you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, phew, fine. Yeah. And I see that even my kids, not often, sometimes agree that they do not agree, and that's all right, Yeah, boys. Yeah. So
It's
this is
all
beautiful. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And especially because you live with the three boys.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, see
Nice.
me. See
Yeah.
me. Like, see my point. See it.
I know. But sometimes yeah, I know this is mom or like this is girl. So for me, it's an easy way out at some level. Like, I'm the only one. I'm like, ta-da! Like escaping the uncomfortable situation. Like, you know.
It
Yeah, it's
is.
just, apart the jokes, yeah, like when, life is beautiful and it's beautiful to, how to say, uncover, like discover new things while talking to other people because it's not everything that I know or like, well, maybe you know everything, I don't know. But, most of the people
No,
know
I
everything.
know
So,
nothing.
so it's like, it's nice to discover, especially when I was talking to another friend and we were speaking like, when we're changing or we are in some level of our spiritual path, like, journey of discovering things or like discovering mindfulness or like starting all other different practices or, I don't know, listening to podcasts and reading books. And then you see that you start changing and your circle of friends is changing. It's shifting. Some people go away, but it's not like, I cancel you because I don't like you anymore because I read these smart books. No, no. But it's just, they just somehow and then there's becomes an empty space for a new person to come in. Why is that happening? It's because it's not that you do something to eliminate them. It's just like you feel like something is shifting and then you see the new perspective with new people in there. How interesting is that?
It's even deeper. And like just to go off what you said, because yes, a resounding yes, even when it comes to romantic relationships, even when it
Oh,
comes to family relationships, they will shift, they will change as you change. And, it goes back to the saying, you are what you think. And when you start to change your mind, your perspective, and you start to recognize that other people's minds or perspectives are less malleable, they're more in their fish pond. That's a story, a Buddhist story about everyone's in their own fish pond. Every fish sees their own pond. They don't see the other fishes. That's how we are as human beings. You begin to think to yourself like, okay, I don't need this energy. Or other people might say, this energy doesn't vibe with me anymore. For example, if you are going through recovery and healing addiction, your friends who are only your party friends or your friends who are only, there to, get drunk with you or get high with you. And then all of a sudden you start to say, I don't think I'm going on my own path. And my path is I have to do the steps of releasing a lot of that energy. Those friends may not want to release that energy, and therefore they leave, your circle. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean you had a falling out. It doesn't mean you hate them. It just means that the energy space you're holding is different. And because you're holding that space, there's only so many people that can hold that space with you. And that's okay. And that's going to shift and evolve.
Okay, so there's a natural part of, even like, actually I think it's like a bonus for you, like you get to, yeah, it's like a bonus point
Yes.
for that. Yeah,
Yes.
that is so
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's also, if you think of it, I don't know, I'm very into gardening and very into
Oh,
plants.
nice.
Yes. And there are certain, there are plants, there's a whole ecosystem, just like human beings. We have, fungus, we have parasites, we have, weeds that may not be weeds. They could also be herbs that can act as weeds, like mint can act as a weed and just destroy your garden if you let it overgrow. Yes.
Okay.
Mint. Yes.
Yeah,
Which is
because they have these, how to see, the roots under the ground, very long. Yeah, I've seen that. They're like network. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And ivy could also do that but ivy's more delicate than mint. Mint is very strong. And there
Oh,
are certain people in our lives that are mint. They're
oh,
like energetically take over. So you have to give them more. Yeah,
yeah.
you need to pluck them a little bit more, need to give them less
Mm,
leg room in your life. There are people who act as, you think they're weeds. You're like, who is this? But they can be
mhm.
so medicinal for you. You may think like, I don't want this in my garden, but you're like, oh man, this is so medicinal. And then there could be people that, you don't realize it. You're like, what is that? Oh, it's just a brown spot, but it's a fungus or a parasite that you're like, oh, that was not good for me. That was not healthy for me. So if you think of it as a constant garden, a constant ecosystem, your life, you will be left with a beautiful garden of beautiful herbs, and maybe there'll be some flies floating around, but nothing that harms anything or anyone. And yeah, it's more like that. If we can look at it, we're not losing anything. We're gaining a healthier garden.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you. This parallel with the garden. Yeah. And even the name for this, like, not, I cannot say bad, nothing is bad, but like, this negative energy, giving a name of mint, it doesn't sound that bad anymore, It's like, it was like something smelly or whatever. It's mint, It has
Mint.
its purpose as well, Yeah, a mint.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Because mint, believe it or not, could be like the most strong weed. This is so funny that we're speaking about this, but
Yeah, the
listen,
plants, you're like, what? What's happening?
we went from meditation to like gardening in 2 seconds. But yeah, mint can act as a weed. It could destroy your garden if you let it run amok. And people don't realize that. They're like, but it's delicious. And I
Yeah.
put in my tea and I put in my essential oils, or I hang it in my house. And it's like, yeah, it will destroy your garden if you give it too much leg room. And there are people like, yes, there are people like that in our lives. It's like, okay, they're a bit of a mint in my life. I need to just protect the energy, set a little bit more healthy boundaries.
Yeah. Because I know people who are like, you feel like meeting with them, but then you're drained afterwards. Like after
Yeah.
half an hour, you're like you feel like you slept for 2 hours, but it was just a conversation, just a coffee for 1 hour. So yeah, it's crazy. They're like vampire people actually, but if you allow them, right?
Correct. Correct.
Mm,
Energetical vampires. Totally believe in it.
mm,
Um, for me, energetical vampires are people who tend to be super needy. I
yeah,
also think it's important to recognize your own energetical vampire energy. I think for empaths, because we are very giving, we
yeah.
could also be reverse empaths, very needy. And we see people and we play on their heartstrings and we're like, please, like we sometimes feel like we're drowning. So we take other people with us. And it's really important to also be mindful if we act as energetical vampires, we're going to attract the energy just as much because we won't even see it because we're in it, But if
Mm,
we're more mindful of what we take and what
mm,
we give, it's
yeah.
like, okay, I
Mhm.
totally see that this person's going to drain the heck out of me after this conversation.
It's like
Yep. Yep. Or a mom or an aunt, it's sometimes
yeah,
it's our
yeah,
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid
Yeah.
or yeah, it happens.
Kids.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
You started
Yes.
talking about a little bit of attraction. This is where I want to shift our conversation to, because I am confused, dear Liza. You have to help me out here. I'm kidding, but so I know three magical words, but I don't know the correct drawer where to put them. So I have one, manifestation, two, affirmation, three, visualization. Is it the same? Is it different? And how does it work? I know it would take 25 hours to explain that, but just to give an idea for our audience, like, is it the same? Is it different? And how can I implement it into my life? Hmm?
Manifest beautiful. So it's manifestation, visualization, and the third drawer,
Affirmation.
affirmations.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So it's more like steps, less like drawers.
Okay, let's do the steps then.
Let's do steps
Yeah, let's do
because
steps.
drawers we want to like separate, right? We're like, this is here and that's there. And
Yeah.
we can look at it
Yeah.
at first like that. But if we look at it as steps, we start with the desire to create something, to cultivate something. And that's something in all human life. We want to show the manifestations of something, the manifestations of our giving heart within a healthy relationship, the manifestations of our power to create an abundant world around us, or maybe the manifesting like you are manifesting right now, this gorgeous magnetic conversations podcast. It's like these are all manifestations of who we are and what we can do and what we can create. And I believe even deeper manifestations of a greater source in the universe. And we use the techniques of tools of visualization and affirmations. Just bring it down to the step of visualization. Visualization is the power to see something that isn't there yet, but we can see it in our mind's eye. Fun fact, not everyone can do this. There are certain people that, whether it be through traumatic injury or they just were born without the power to visualize internally. So the best thing to think of is a memory, a word, or a feeling can also be a part of this visualization technique. The feeling of lightness, the feeling of richness, the feeling of love, this feeling. And that too can be a part of our visualization practice, that step. And then we go into affirmations, which is saying out loud to ourselves, affirming to ourselves, no, I am worthy of this. No, this is realistic. This is real. And then eventually you kind of loop back around. Once you get up to the steps, you're like, okay, I got to loop back around. And you come to the bottom step of manifestation. So in a sense, maybe it's a wheel, not steps, now that I'm thinking about it. But
Like,
yes.
in steps which are like circular, the
Yeah.
steps like
Yes.
spiral. Yeah.
Spiral steps. Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. So I don't want to, even though it's very easy for us to be like, there's manifestation, that's something we're having a hard time doing with even just my work and my content, like weaving this all together like a very big blanket. So because it's very easy to say manifestation is law of attraction, and we manifest and we use our words and we visualize. And then visualization is a meditation technique. And affirmations is like a positive cognitive therapy technique of like, I am good and I am worthy. But what if we look at it as a blanket, spiral steps, as you said so beautifully, we begin to recognize that, wait, this isn't different things. This is all a part of one ecosystem.
Yeah. Thank you. And can I ask you something? If you don't want, you don't have to reply. But it came to my head like, but sometimes, let's see my example. I feel like, I I feel like, I'm ready for this and that, and I imagine it, and I even imagine how it's happening, but then it's not happening. So what's wrong? That why sometimes what did I do wrong? But really sometimes you're like maybe I didn't want it so much, like, it's like you start questioning yourself, like, because not everything manifests, but then I figure that maybe it's the timing because we want everything so fast to happen. I don't know, what's your view on that?
You can't always get what you want, you get what you need.
That's
It's
the plan of the universe, right?
that's yes, I know. Because if we all got what we wanted, we'd all be Oprah and Beyonce, and
Yeah. Yeah, I
we'd
know
all,
what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. In life does and doesn't work like that. We are all these main characters of our lives, and we all can manifest that kind of greatness.
Yeah.
But that being said, we can't have what we want all the time. And if we did, I do believe it would drive us insane,
Mhm.
because human beings thrive on resilience. We thrive on, okay, that didn't go as planned, so I got
Mm.
to try this again.
Be
That's
more
the hardest.
precise, because like,
Exactly.
yeah, but that was not the way I wanted. And or the
Exactly.
process was different. The end result is the same, but the process, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, I want a boyfriend, or,
Yeah.
I want a boyfriend. I want to manifest a boyfriend. I want to manifest a boyfriend. And then you get a boyfriend, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Thanks.
going back, yeah, I want to manifest a very kind, healthy relationship. And then it's like, well,
Now we're
you
talking.
get what you need. Anyone could give you $1 million. Anyone can give you a boyfriend. Anyone can give you a gorgeous house looking over the ocean. But if the house has termites and the person is a jerk and the money, is dirty money from, an awful
Yeah.
black market, then it's like, what do you really want? So I feel the most active way of getting what you want is first seeing, well, what is it that I truly want? Because if some of the times when we go, I'm manifesting and I'm not getting what I want,
Yeah.
it could be actually a perspective thing. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about that. What is it that you want? I want a
Mhm.
man or I want a woman, but they haven't shown up yet. And I'm like, where are they? And I'm like, ooh, that's a very big one because they're physically not showing up into your life.
Mhm.
So what I say is, okay, what is the energy of that person that you are ideally wanting? Because I'm sure in the midst of them saying, this person isn't coming up, there's tons of people coming in and out of their orbit,
Yeah.
people that aren't for them, people that are for them. And you look at the energy of what you want. I want someone kind. I want someone genuine. I want someone to go on adventures with me. I want someone, who's responsible. And you go through the energy. What does it feel like? And then I ask the important question: are you that person to yourself?
Well, hello.
And that's a big shift changer
Mhm.
because part of manifesting and inviting that energy into the world is embodying that energy. If you want to invest or manifest financial freedom, but you're constantly ignoring the fact that your credit report is on delinquent and you're like, I'm just not going to ask for that raise even though I'm working harder than I should, or you're doing all these money but you're just saying, I want the $1 million, I want the financial freedom, I want this, I want that. Well, are you embodying that?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's also part of the energy of, I don't see it, why isn't it here? Part
Mhm.
of it being here is you embodying it first, and then I bet you it will start showing up rapidly in your life. You'll be like, wait a minute.
Wow, that's so nice. It's the same idea I had about, like for example, what do you expect from the guy you're looking for, or even your husband, your current partner? Like, I want to feel safe with him, but then are you giving this sense of safety to yourself? Because it's not his responsibility to make you feel safe. So this is about the same thing at some level, like I want a boyfriend who will give me flowers and love me and take care of me. Yeah, but you're not giving that to yourself, girl. So, right? This is what you're saying.
Yes, that's exactly it. And I think, and more importantly, when we think of our manifestation, we see it very much in almost this fairy tale like context. But
Mhm.
when the manifestation actually happens, it's a very realistic context. It's in the realm of reality. So we're like, well, I didn't see that pipe bursting and that beautiful house I was imagining. And that baby, I didn't see that baby biting me randomly because it's so angry. Like when I was manifesting my baby, I did not see this realm of reality. And
Yeah.
it's like, because you're seeing it in the realm of dream and possibility and all the good that you wish to attract. That's still there. That's still there. But
Yeah.
you also have to invite in the realm of reality. the realm of reality is, when you want your partner to buy you flowers, you also have to tell your partner, hey, why don't you get me flowers? Can you get me flowers?
Because they're not mind readers. They're not.
Yes, no.
They do not have this, oracle globe where they guess what you're dreaming of, No,
Yes.
just say it.
And they build the practice. And before you know it, you have a partner that randomly gets you flowers. And you're like, oh, there you go. That person was already there. That capability of him getting your flowers was already there. You manifested it. But sometimes you have to meet the realm of reality, just like we kind of taking it full circle to the beginning of our conversation. How much time is a good time? We may imagine us sitting on a lotus flower, communing with the universe. But in the realm of reality, it's those 2 minutes in the shower listening to brown noise, or it's that being connected to your baby that's, struggling with the idea of growth and growing. And that's really important too. And that's what makes this more magical. Reality, as not as glamorous as it sounds, but it does make it more magical because we're thriving and we're fighting for it.
Exactly. And this, just to get back a minute ago, like you get what you need. I like this concept because maybe you're not ready to get that at this present moment. Maybe just a bit later, Like, and one more thing, it's a question for you though. Like, I have 2 kids and kids get sick, but they always choose to get sick on the worst timing. Always. Like, exactly when I have some project coming up, or like I'm a clothing designer, so I have my new collection release, ta-da! And then they're like, really perfect timing. But then I thought maybe, I have to read the signs and like listen to myself. Like maybe I have to stop for a minute before the launch because otherwise I will die, like or eat some food perhaps, Yeah, so the kids are like, getting sick on the perfect timing. Well, I'm laughing now, but at that moment I'm like, no. Like, you cannot get sick now. Can you do it later? Yeah, so this is what I was thinking. Like perhaps the closest people in our environment, or like families or kids or husbands, I don't know, best friends, they're the best mirrors to show us what we need most. And the kids get sick because you need to stay home and sleep with them. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. Or the kids get sick because it's a reminder that even as you're doing all of this beautiful work, you're a mom, and it's the hardest job, but it's also the most beautiful job. And wow, you're doing this while your kids got sick at the perfect, we're using quotation marks, perfect, perfect timing. And it reminds you of your power as a mother, that you're creating and manifesting so much. So yeah. It's how you, if you watch the movie Under the Tuscan Sun,
yes,
I
know
highly, okay, there's a part in the film. And for those who, not too much of a spoiler alert, but for those who haven't seen it, I highly recommend it because it is such a big manifestation movie. Like and it talks a little bit about when you're trying to manifest and you're actively trying to manifest. And Gabrielle Bernstein calls it manic manifesting, where you're like, I got to do this. I got to get the man and I got to get the kids and and at the end, she gets everything that she was manifesting. She was like, I'm not getting this.
You're so true. Yeah.
She got everything she was she wanted. Just it doesn't have to show up in the way we think. Let the universe play with us on this. And it's kind of like, oh man, I have to release control. I want it to be like a board game or a Barbie doll game where everything is dressed perfectly and everything is exactly. And my children never get sick and my husband always brings me flowers and I'm in fantasy land. It's we have to grieve the reality, and we have to grieve in general that life is so much more dynamic than that. But trust me, when you accept it, it's going to be like, yes, life is more dynamic than that. Yes.
I love the way you explain it. I was like, I want that.
Yes.
Yeah, but this release of control is amazing because if you make the, request list with all the details and colors and to the universe or whoever is out there, like he's going to like, you know better than me. I show you. It's like, watch this. So yeah, like lose control, it just relax into that. That's a very good lesson. Thank you as well. Yeah. Just not to,
No.
you know?
Also, you asked me the best questions. I'm like, finally, the questions that like I really wanted to like talk about, like, and don't get me wrong, I love all the questions in any conversation, but I love these particular questions specifically because it's like, let's get real, let's get authentic. Let's like look at the practical matters. Maybe it's also because it's the chapter of my life that I'm in. And, I'm a wife and I'm also a caretaker to my family and not a mom. But as women, we are caretakers, we are healers, we are givers, and we deal with so much of the universal chaos of reality. And we're like, you want me to sit and meditate? You want me to sit and think nothing? Like, are you freaking for real right now? You want me to contortion my body and like,
Yeah.
really?
Mm.
And it's like, yes, because trust me, you're going to see all the colors of your life so much more clearer when you do. So yeah, I think I love these conversations because it's like, how do we see this a little bit clearer?
That's beautiful, really. And Liza, I have a request for you. I hope we can do that. You know,
Yes, of
um,
course.
yeah. So because you're my favorite meditation guide, so I'm like, always like my inside timer, Liza, okay, hello. I'm like, yeah, I do that. I can prove with my phone. Anyways, so would we do like, I don't know, a few minutes of some beautiful meditation? I don't know, what do you think the best choice would be for us? How do you feel? Like, do what you feel. We're open. Like a few minutes of something. What do you feel like doing?
Let's take it from let's take it from this magnetic conversation. First of all, I love the name of this podcast, Magnetic
Yeah.
Conversations. Yes.
Like attracting, magnetic.
Yes. Yes. It's also magnetic. Like it's very like it's very like, oh,
Yeah,
I totally identify with what you just said right now. But
I'm happy.
anyway, yes. So let's go ahead and take a moment just to come as we are. It could be seated, it could be lying down. If you're
I
listening
will
to
join.
this,
Yeah.
yes, please. If you're listening to this while doing something, continue to do what you're doing and just be mindful of this moment. And take a nice big, deep inhale into your body. And exhale, sigh out, let go. And take another big, deep breath in. And let the rest of the world go. And a last delicious breath into your body. Savor it. Breathe in. And exhale, let go. Falling into your natural cadence of breath. Into your natural rhythm, recognizing that in life and within the breath, we breathe in, we take things in, and we release. This is the natural rhythm of life. So I invite you to take in any pearls of wisdom, anything that really resonated with you in this moment. Invite that energy into your life, into this moment. Let yourself simply be present with that energy. And as you breathe that energy into the body and release anything that really doesn't serve you, doesn't serve that energy, any thoughts of past or future, any doubts, fears, or things you cannot change. While you are one with this energy, visualize how you wish to weave it into your now. Into your week ahead, into your month ahead, your year, years ahead, into your life. And simply ask the universe, how do I best become a conduit for this energy in my everyday life? How do I best become an expression of this energy in my everyday life? It's a question that you may not have the answer to, or you may have it very strongly in your gut, in your heart, and in your spirit. Taking a big, deep inhale into this present moment. Exhale, letting go. Repeating to yourself the simple affirmation, I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. And let us close this practice, this meditation, with an intention for you to act on this visualization, on what you are cultivating, on what you are manifesting. Breathing in. Sighing out, letting go. As much as you may want to stay in this present moment, and you can if you wish. But as we slowly move away from the practice, you can join us by being aware of your surroundings, by moving in any way that feels good, deepening the breath, maybe even floating the eyes open if they were closed. And find yourself here from this new moment. Move from this place. Thank you, Agnė.
That was so beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. I was like, gone. It's just since we're on air, I was like, there with you, following your voice, and then like, yeah, I hope it's recording. Like, my yeah, I have to take control of two things at a time. But I'm sure I will get back to this and listen over and over again. And Liza, you're such a beautiful person. Oh my God. I would like to hug you so strongly.
You too. Believe it or not, you have the energy. My four close friends, you are like, if anyone's curious, like, what are you literally have that energy. You
Okay,
literally have, we're very vibrant, loud, like, well, I take the word loud back, but we're very vibrant, like in your face, like, this is who we are.
Yes, it is,
Yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was
totally
just so, it's such an honor. Thank you for it's such an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you're so open and so vibrant and so beautiful, and like getting my sometimes not really funny jokes and like, being me there with me. It's like
they're hilarious to me. I don't know. I have a dark sense of humor.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. And I believe that our listeners will get the concept of meditating not as complicated and as distant as they thought an hour ago. So that was the goal. Thank you so much, Liz. And I think we did it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
perhaps
you.
we Monday. We don't know. We just send the wish to the universe. Who knows? Right?
I have faith. I have faith that I always say one person, that's all you need.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much. Kisses to New York. Bye. Bye,
Kisses.
beautiful.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
So much.